Want to enjoy and remember every detail of RIAT 2019? The souvenir programme contains flying display listings for each show day, along with a handy insert version that you can pull out. With exclusive articles and features, including interviews with pilots and aircrew, a look back at groundbreaking achievements and tributes to exceptional aircraft, in particular the now retired Tornado. To get your own copy of the programme, please visit us at all customer entry points, service stations and the Vintage Village. And if you would like to make sure that you've got a record of all those aircraft that you've seen today, ensure you check off all the aircraft that you see with the help of the aircraft attendants. All details of the aircraft they display, including type and tail number and squadron information, you can purchase a copy for only £4. Available at the Blue Programme Pods and official F2 merchandise outlets located at each service station, Vintage Village and...
Available at echoes for possible private units with control.
Enterprises, a very warm welcome to the Royal International Air Tattoo 2019. Pleasure to be back with you here at RIAT on this delightful Saturday morning. And what a way to open a terrific themes this weekend, one of them the 70th anniversary of the establishment of NATO, the North Atlantic Treaty Organisation. And our operational theme is air and space, because of course it won't have failed to take your attention to sure that today marks the 50th anniversary of the moon landings, and many of you will be aware the space domain is one in which the world's air forces, not least the Royal Air Force, is especially interested in the modern era, and it's a major topic of interest for NATO in its 70th anniversary year as well. We'll be reflecting on all this and much more over the course of the next 8.5 or so hours. Quite a daunting prospect. I'm Ben Dunnell, and joining me here to talk you through the action once again, rolling now. So as not to cause any issues with odd foreign object debris, because of course there can be a major hazard on an operational airfield, and this is very much an operational airfield, never more so than at Air Tattoo time, but also of course a very busy United States Air Force deployment base for heavy bombers, particularly the B-52H Stratofortresses, one of which we have here in the static park from many other countries who contributed to the overall Allied effort in World War II were as well. And that goes to members of the Belgian Air Force fighting alongside the RAF. And if you look now to your left, in run, the three Belgian Air Components F-16s, two of them in D-Day markings. Squadron scored two aerial victories against Luftwaffe Junkers U-88s on the 6th of June 1944 itself. The Belgians understandably proud of their D-Day heritage. The three F-16s then in towards us for the break. but a 2,000-foot radius demonstrated there at about 280 knots. Of course, the F-16's agility, one of the key factors that has made it among the greatest fighter aircraft of all time. The deliveries of the Belgian F-16 aircraft took place between 1979 and 1991. Initially as a replacement for the F-104 Starfighters, and latterly the Mirage F-5Bs. The aircraft were indeed a step change compared with legacy types, but were initially only equipped with a pulse radar, sidewinder and guns. Roll. Yes, that midlife upgrade that took place during the 1990s. That's a lovely upgrade. F-16 is relevant to this market, say the Belgian and other European A and B model F-16s, anything up to 40 years old in terms of when they were built. Somewhere in the region of 600 or so knots on that fast pass, not as quick as he would go at some mainland European displays because the maximum speed allowed in the UK a little lower. Yes, each nation has its own rules, and it's the more stringent of the rules that have to be used at each show. For us in the UK, the maximum speed is 600 knots or Mach 0.9, whichever is reached first. Pure air-to-air fighter with no air-to-ground capability. Well, that soon changed, and particularly the new F-16C and D models, now up to Block 70 standard, are very, very capable multi-role aircraft. Now setting up for the slow pass.
Good morning, Ian. The weather is much better than yesterday. I'm really happy to see all this one and one of these amazing cars. Thank you.
F-16, please. Fantastic, and if you were unable to hear Vader's transmission in the middle of that, what he was actually saying was he was demonstrating the slow speed capability of the aircraft. So we've seen everything between 2023 and 2028. There's now a Lockheed Martin product itself, of course, the F-16, having been a General Dynamics one when the Belgian examples were built. In over the threshold then, Captain Aviator Stefan Dart from 2 Wing of the Belgian Air Component with the F-16A-M Fighting Falcon, the Dark Falcon, on the rollout as the 2 D-Day F-16s come in above for ready to land. Absolutely perfect timing there. Great So the 2 D-Day F-16s coming in to land the 350 Squadron aircraft in the hands of a US Air Force exchange pilot, Major Sean Cheever, call sign Cash, and his colleague from 349 Squadron in the other aircraft, Captain Sam Despet, call sign Vino. We'll be seeing Vader back in the air later in the F-16 four-ship formation as part of our NATO 70th anniversary flypast here at the Royal International Air Tattoo. But now it's my pleasure to hand you to the commentator for our next display item, the first of our national aerobatics. And here he is, the third Renaud Kirin.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Chaval. This year, the team is led by Commandant Clément Racine, who flew Mirage 2000-5. He has more than 2,500 flight hours. He specialized in air defense, and you will hear his voice guiding the team during the next 25 minutes. Let's yourself, beginning by Patrouille de France. The flight plan is filled. Together, let's go in the air.
Flight after losing 1,000 feet of runway. Ladies and gentlemen, stand up, put your hands together for Major Smith and the F-16 Fighting Falcon. This is now slowing the F-16 to prepare for a slow-speed, high-alpha pass.
While the Viper can fly at more than twice the speed of sound, slow speed control is just as important to those who fly it. High alpha refers to the high angle of attack at which the aircraft will be flying. Tor will be holding the Viper at 23 degrees nose-up position and moving at only 120 miles per hour. As he approaches, notice the great paint scheme of the F-16, one that is designed to make it more difficult to identify in conditions ranging from bright sky to dull overcast. When he reaches show center, Tor will apply full afterburner and accelerate his aircraft in a nearly vertical climb, demonstrating the F-16's awesome thrust-to-weight ratio, a maneuver we proudly call the rocket launch.
As Toro sets up for a maximum performance climb with a series of aileron rolls. As he pulls back on the stick, you'll see the Viper's exceptional power and rolling ability as he sends it from 300 feet to over 3 miles. I wanna elevate. Ladies and gentlemen, Major Schmitz has begun a spiraling descent in preparation for the dedication pass. Major Schmitz and the rest of the F-16 Viper demonstration team from the 20th Battery wish to dedicate this pass to the men and women from all branches of the armed forces and their families who are so bravely fighting for neighbors and our countries. We would also like to remember our local warriors and veterans and activists those who have given their lives defending these countries.
But in this instance, this aircraft will be flying at 30 degrees angle of attack, all controlled by that wonderful fly-by-wire system. And here we go. Yes, from the Swiss Air Force, this is Captain Nicolas Rossier with the McDonnell Douglas, now Boeing FA-18C Hornet. Aircraft requiring 1,000 feet for the flat show and 3,000 feet for the medium show. And it looks like he's gone for the low to medium option at this stage. I think we're likely to see a bit of a hybrid here, as the weather conditions are different at both ends of the airfield. Down now for a dirty roll, dirty meaning with the landing gear extended. Nicolas comes from Fliegerstaffel 17 of the Swiss Air Force based at Payerne but his aircraft, as you will have seen, has the Tiger markings on it from the recent NATO Tiger meet. It's actually from the English. The Swiss Air Force unit that's a member of the NATO Tiger Association, bringing together units from around the alliance and, in the case of Switzerland and others, countries aligned to the alliance that have tigers or other big cats in their emblems.
That last manoeuvre, a great opportunity there to get some fantastic photos. It's not often that you see an aircraft inverted with gear, flap, hook and probe extended at the same time.
Very hard. Pull back on the stick and push it over.
Brilliant demonstration there of the minimum radius turn, about 2,000 feet of radius, aircraft speed at about 280 knots, pulling no more than about 5 or 6 G. And the good thing about that turn is it gives the aircraft the ability to come back into the 230 metre line because its speed is below 300 knots.
Of the fly-by-wire system, but also the design of the aeroplane. It's got those long extension, leading-edge root extensions at the front of the wing, the big horizontal stabilators, as they're known in the pack, which improve controllability at those high angles of attack. And the Swiss Hornets have also got relatively new flight control software, which means they have no angle of attack limits. And Nicolas wears a patch on his flying suit, proudly proclaiming that fact. Now at the slow.
For the second of the slow fast jet flypasts of today, the aircraft flying around about 110 knots, once again going into a 30 knot headwind, so his speed over the ground is about 80 knots or about 90 miles per hour. That is a huge angle. You see the aircraft flying low, basically holding with the stick and modulating the power to maintain the aircraft level. to keep up with the ribbon diagram to work out what's coming next. We're expecting a call sign passes to get you laps ready.
Full and flat to medium shows, as he's entitled to do. The Swiss Hornets perform the air policing role as their main function, but they're also now multi-role capable, though Switzerland doesn't currently have any air-to-ground weapons for its Hornets, apart from the aircraft's own gun. Last pass coming up now from the left.
Phenomena there where the noise of the aircraft doesn't actually reach you until the aircraft has almost gone past. The aircraft travelling at 0.9 Mach and the sound of the aircraft travelling not much faster than that. Given the aircraft is about 300 to 400 metres away from us at the time, you can see the noise and the aircraft pass you at exactly the same time.
Performance, apart from the aircraft's own gun. Last pass coming up now from the left.
Phenomena there where the noise of the aircraft doesn't actually reach you until the aircraft has almost gone past. The aircraft travelling at 0.9 Mach and the sound of the aircraft travelling not much faster than that. Given the aircraft is about 300 to 400 metres away from us at the time, you can see the noise and the aircraft pass you at exactly the same time.
In their spare time, they still fly the F-5 Tiger. But into land after another quite exceptional display of agility and professionalism in the air. Captain Nicolas Rossier of the Swiss Air Force with the FA-18C Hornet.
Very, very short roll out there, stopping, or had the ability to stop at about 3,000 feet. Just through the use of the brakes, wheel brakes for the aircraft and the enormous stabilizers at the back.
Ladies and gentlemen, just a message for you. In the blue zones, you will find the British Army area where the Watchkeeper unmanned aircraft is being demonstrated by 4
feet each. So much in evidence. Provide the same sort of versatility as a helicopter enjoys, but with speeds closer to those of a fixed-wing aircraft. And that's all been achieved in spades with the Osprey, which first flew 30 years ago now, in March 1989, but started coming into service during the year 2000 with both the US Marine Corps in MV-22 form and with US Air Force Special Operations Command on initially test duties that year as the CD-22B. It became operational with the Air Force in 2007, and they've really been proving their worth, these aeroplanes, in all sorts of roles. We'll shortly see the aircraft beginning to decelerate and convert to VTOL, vertical takeoff and landing mode. The Osprey is able to transport 24 combat troops, up to 20,000 pounds of cargo internally, or 15,000 pounds of cargo as external loads, and of course it's air-to-air refueling capable. There is that transition. Aircraft with a very impressive operational record now with the US Marine Corps. They were first deployed to Iraq in 2007. 2009 began operating in Afghanistan. But This is the Air Force model, the CV-22B, which performs roping equipment to deploy troops to the ground. They can either use that method or, of course, they can jump off the rear ramp. Quick climb away there to about 500 feet. And there's the transition to aircraft mode again. The rotors tilting forwards. Speed increasing.
Critical thing with that is the
That little
Zone and the Vintage Village. The planetarium is somewhere you might like to go for your own moon landing. Tickets are available free of charge for performances throughout the day, and you can pick up your ticket and prepare for liftoff over there. And if you would like to head over to the Vintage Village, there's lots going on down there. I had a little wander around. They have performances throughout the day. There's a nice little place where you can get tea and cake, and you can buy all sorts of vintage bits and pieces over there, so clothing and such.
From that end, but it'll be airborne in very short order.
Absolutely, this aircraft will be airborne inside 2,000 feet using maximum reheat. This is a real fast and furious display, 8 minutes from start to end. Never a dull moment in this. All of his link manoeuvres are absolutely superb.
So here it is, powering up and about to roll F7 wing of the Swedish Air Force at Slotvanas, the Saab Gas 39C Gripen.
RG on that turn, followed by Derry roll and a reposition for a fly through at 350 knots. That's 350. Unusual fact there, when you do a lot of rapid rolls in one direction, the inner ear continues, the fluid in the inner ear continues to turn, which is why I was correcting it in the opposite sense.
Very capable in not just the air-to-air and air-to-ground, but also the reconnaissance and anti-shipping strike rolls, and to have a high degree of adaptability like its predecessors, the Saab 35 Draken and 37 Diggen. Has to be easy to maintain in the sort of extreme conditions that can sometimes be experienced in Sweden, and for those it was designed to be very flexible. It could literally be switched at the push of a button between different missions in the same sortie and rearmed in just 10 minutes between missions.
Setting up for the third of the fast jet low-speed fly paths that we've seen today. This time advertised at 100 knots, so 10 knots slower than the other two aircraft that we've seen so far. Once again, flying into a headwind of about 30 knots up there. The aircraft speed over the ground is 70 knots, or about 80 miles per hour. Throughout that very, very complex manoeuvre.
New Gripen E and F models are altogether faster, longer range, more capable type than the C and D that preceded. for many years. He's an instructor on F7 wing. Including a double derry, if there is such a thing, as he repositions in that horizontal 8. And that outside turn, again, very, very difficult to fly, using 2 axes in the aircraft, but around about -2G. So very, very difficult, quite a confusing manoeuvre to fly. Easy to see why this aeroplane, which is seen as being a slightly lower cost alternative to some of the other present generation of combat aircraft.
Landing, advertised here as 400 metres or 1,200 feet.
Going to be doing a 360-degree turn on the runway before vacating a very impressive today's show. The 25th of August 1919 was a momentous day in civil aviation. Nearly 3 years after its foundation, a company called Aircraft Transport and Travel, or AT&T, carried out the world's first scheduled international air services. At London's first airport, Hounslow, 9:10 in the morning of that day, a war surplus air code DH-4A, flown by Lieutenant E.H. Lawford, took off from the Bourget Air 147 and the Red Arrows. That was the Royal International Air Tattoo's salute to BA 100. Warsaw-packed combat aircraft of the Cold War period, but now firmly allied as part of NATO in its 70th anniversary year, and on the roll from the Romanian Air Force, the Mikoyan Gurevich MiG-21 Lancer C.
when we compare them to the F-16 and the F-18 that have been in service or certainly been flying for the last 40, 45 years. But this aircraft first flew in 1956, which amazingly was 2 years after the prototype English Electric Lightning, 2 years before the Phantom. That's an amazing 63 years ago.
The lightweight, simple fighter, but one with very high output performance, even if that came at the expense of its weapons capability, of its endurance, and of its airfield performance. The prototypes from 1954 onwards had a variety of configurations. They settled on the Delta wing, and the first series production MiG-21s, as Mark said, took to the air in 1956. The aircraft was given the NATO codename Fishbed.
That Delta wing is very, very reminiscent of the early English Electric Lightning there. The tailplane very identical, that got 45-degree sweep.
In April 1959, and it then started to go into service.
And what a hugely successful design.
Flew across the Warsaw Pact and the Soviet sphere of influence. Built under license in Czechoslovakia, in India, and in various versions in China.
I think although unit cost is not always a good way of determining affordability of an aircraft, however, in 1974, a MiG-21 would cost you $2 million when you compare that against the $8 million that an F-4 Phantom was costing at the time. So for the non-Soviet nations that actually had a choice,
Poor turning capability for the sort of close-in visual dogfights. Against US Air Force aircraft in North Vietnamese hands, and in the India-Pakistan conflict of 1971, Indian MiG-21s claimed 8 aerial kills, 4 of them against another of this aircraft's Western contemporaries, the Lockheed F-104 Starfighter. Of course, it's somewhat outclassed nowadays, even in upgraded form, but it's still been used in far more recent conflicts. MiG-21s have been active in both the Syrian and Libyan civil wars. In fact, examples have been shot down in both. Romania has operated MiG-21s since 1962, when it received its first MiG-21 F-13 models. Its last new deliveries were in 1982, and it was 10 years after that that a huge upgrade effort started. With NATO standards. It was known as Lancer, with a capital R at the end for Romania. The work was performed by Elbit in Israel in cooperation with Romanian company Aerostar, and the first upgraded aircraft flew in August 1995, and a huge number of changes were embodied in the Lancer. They were fitted with head-up displays, colour, multifunction displays in the cockpit, a new radar warning receiver, NATO-compatible transponders, enabling the aircraft to operate safely in Western air traffic environments, helmet-mounted displays, radar navigation system, and far more. The sort of kit generally found in much more modern aeroplanes.
And very similar to the specification of many of the midlife updates for the F-16s.
Weapons. There were originally 3 versions: Lance A for air-to-ground, Lance B for trainer. Now the A's will be retired and the air-to-ground role transferred to these C models. 2 squadrons of these aircraft still operational in the Romanian Air Force. This one is from Escadrilla 861 at Mihail Kogalnicianu on the southeastern Black Sea coast. There's also Escadrilla 711 at Campia Turci in the northwest. Romania, looking to the future of its combat aircraft capability, introduced its first F-16s, ex-Portuguese Air Force aircraft, in 2016, and they're looking to buy 36 more of them, which will spell the end for the last of these MiG-21s, which have been aligned as part of NATO since 2004. Who would have expected that just 20 or so years earlier? Take part regularly in multinational exercises, and they can still play a useful air combat role, these aircraft. They're small, so they're a difficult target to acquire, and of course they're very fast moving. That enables them to make hit-and-run attacks against more modern fighters. After a very impressive display, Colonel Stanciu Gheorghe from Escadrilla 861 of the Romanian Air Force with the Mikoyan Gurevich MiG-21 Lancer C.
Quite typical of a delta-wing fighter aircraft, very high landing speed, in excess of 150 knots.
Well, I very much hope you enjoyed that, and we've got plenty more to look forward to on the